Alright, I'm going to start off by showing you how to build the frame. The frame is 7 feet long by 3 feet wide. We did this because the piece of plywood that I bought was 4 feet long, so we have 4 feet of workspace and we have 3 feet of a wash station. So I have my wife helping me out. She's measuring all the boards, getting ready to cut them to length. And then we're going to cut all the boards and then just do a rough stand-up of the frame. So the frame just has 3 supports, and the supports the edges I just use a square, and we use some construction screws. The construction screws are 3 inches. And we did this on all 4 sides, and we're doing this on the driveway, so it's not the best for leveling, but the area that we're in was relatively flat. So I made sure all the corners were square first. And by the way, all this wood that I got was actually free from a construction site at Taco Bell. So thanks Taco Bell employees for giving me all the free wood. And I know most of it, there's some of it's pressure treated wood, but a lot of it is just regular 2x4. So this is the wash station side where we're going to have the cage. I decided to put an extra support right in the middle so the cage doesn't bow down from all the weight. It might get us a little bit longer life out of it. Now here we're just using staples to secure the cage. I know that it's probably going to rust over time, but I'm probably going to put a 1x1 or a 1x2 pressure treated piece of wood around the outside, kind of sandwich the cage in between the 2x4. So we use a lot of staples around the outside. I kind of learned that more staples is a little bit better from when I made a little sifter out of this cage. I used screws on the sifter and it fell through and some of the cage was tearing, so I used a lot of staples and it actually works out a lot better. Here we're just putting down the plywood. We have the 1.5 inch screws on this so it wouldn't have to go so deep. Now we're going to start on the legs. We decided to do the legs 35 inches high. It's about hip height. And each leg is going to have a supporting 14-inch support beam. So we just did a quick cut on these using the miter saw. Here I was just showing my wife how to use the miter saw. This is pretty much the first time she's used a screw gun on a big project like this and a miter saw. So here I started putting the legs together on the floor and then I quickly changed my mind. And I said let's build the legs straight onto the deck so everything is level. So I first leveled the main top upside down on the floor so it's nice and level, and then I leveled each leg individually, and this worked out really well because everything just fit in so nice and straight. So here when I went to go put the support beam up, I went, uh-oh, the screw is not going to go through, it's not long enough. So I had to pull out the Craig jig, and I used a little clamp that I actually used for the table, and we just did some jig holes and used the construction screws to put them into the sides. Worked out really well. And it was funny because I'm actually out of the Craig jig screws, but the construction screws was perfect length to use on that jig. So here's the other 2 sides, leveling them, making sure that the board was level. I kept going back and forth to make sure that the whole table was level because I didn't want the leg to be crooked. And you can see how the driveway sloped, so I had to prop up a bunch of wood underneath the deck so it would stay level. And when I put these 14-inch beams in the center here, as you'll see after we jig this, it just goes in perfect. Everything was just so straight and square. I didn't have to really even mess with anything. So now we're going to flip it over, and obviously it's going to need one more support. This was actually really nice and sturdy just from this point, but we need to put the bottom support on here. And the battery actually kicked off right before we can show you the putting on the last beam. But here's just a little around the table of how we did it. So this is where we'll be able to sort the vegetables and wash them. So thanks for watching.